Hello everyone, I'm the Reverend Godfather, main host and frontman for the Long Coat Mafia podcast, the internet's most hated mafia-themed geek podcast, and I'm out here to kind of ride the wave in reference to some of the drama that's going on in the geek world today. Now, if you hear from the D&D side of YouTube, you could probably skip this video. You already know what's going on. This is primarily for those who listen to my podcast, what you might call the normies out there that don't really follow D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, and might not know what's going on. This is here trying to explain things for them. And if you're still sticking around, congratulations. You already know what I'm going to say anyway, but to those who might not, let me pretext this by saying, 1, I'm not a lawyer. 2, I don't play one on TV. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express and did watch a lot of Judge Judy in People's Court and a little bit of Law and Order. So let's get on to it. And let me just say I have done a little bit of research and watched a lot of YouTube videos in regards to what's going on. I read the article, I read some of the stuff that's been put out and the leak. And for those of you wondering what I'm talking about, well, last week, about a week ago, going on, depending on when you listen to this or watch this, what have you, about the 6th, if not the 7th of January 2023, a leak was dropped in regards to the OGL. And some of you are like, what's the OGL? Well, Wizards of the Coast, parent company Hasbro, or I should say Hasbro and its subsidiary, Wizards of the Coast, who owns not just Magic the Gathering, but Dungeons and Dragons, put out an updated OGL, an open game license. Now, there are, as far as my research has stated, there are 2 open gaming licenses out there. 1.0 and 1.0A. 1.0 covers Dungeons and Dragons version 3.5, I think, if not 3.0, and the 1.0A covers the current version, or what was the current version of Dungeons and Dragons, i.e. 5th edition. Now, these versions of, these 2 versions pretty much are 900 words long, and they pretty much give independent creators, whether they're Critical Role, DM Dave, or what have you, permission to create third-party content. And now, over the past, and 1.0A came out in roughly, depending on who you talk to, between 2012 and 2014, if not 2015, the latest. And for the past 7 to 10 years, going between 7 and 10 years, they have, these third parties have been creating a butt ton of content, whether it be, hold on, let me go back and I'll get it. And how about that? I'm back, and luckily I did the break to get what I needed. A train went by, so as I was saying, it allowed third-party content creators like DM Dave, Critical Role, amongst others, to create content. Great content, by the way. Not to mention, folks at Elderbrain, one of our popular videos on this channel, to create content like this. Thick content and wonderful content. I'm not knocking Elderbrain at all. I haven't gone through this book yet in detail, nor I ran it. I'm just saying, they probably put out a lot of great and awesome content for dungeon masters or game masters to run. And with all this, I say that gaming license not only gives creators like not just Elderbrain and this thick book, Crown of the Oathbreaker, but Dungeon in a Box, the ability to create the third-party content, for the exception of they can't, as you can see on the cover of Elderbrain, none of their Dungeons and Dragons or Wizards of the Coast trademark, meaning with the third-party license, which is probably right here in the back, they include it here, saying, I know you guys and gals out there can't read that. It pretty much says, we give you permission to create this awesome content and sell it and make money. It is yours. That's what it's there for. And as long as you don't put anything on the book or what you put out that is trademarked or owned by us, like mind flayers, demigorgons, and so forth and so on, or put our corporate logo on your book. And independent creators like Dungeon in the Box and Elder Brain said, okay. Now, a lot of folks in the community said that folks like Elder Brain are putting out way better content, and Critical Role putting out way better content than Wizards of the Coast, WOTC, as some of them have stated. Now, a lot of companies that third party put out something like this on the back. I don't know if you can see it. Try to see. Like it says something. Sometimes a lot of companies put out something like this. It says 5e compatible. And with the recent leak that came out earlier January 6th, if not the 7th, some people were saying the 4th. This new OGL has a lot of problems to it. And I'll summarize some of those problems here. I went in a little bit of depth in my audio podcast. Links to it are down below. If you want to go listen to it, you're more than welcome to. Now, one of the things that the open gaming license that is included in these contents says pretty much as long as these are these are authorized, this is perpetual always. And the original content person who put out the original OGL open gaming license, it says, yeah, we meant these versions to be forever and ever and ever and ever, never be revoked. That way, if there's a new version put out, that way, if you don't like that version, you could still make content for the older versions. That's why 1.0 and 1.0A exist. Now, what makes version 1.1 problematic? Well, several reasons. One, it's not just the fact that Wizards of the Coast says, well, this new open OGL allows us to, you can't create anything that's homophobic, racist, discriminatory in any way, shape, or form. Not to mention it prohibits you creating NFTs and video games, etc., etc., etc. Meanwhile, other things that we'll try to get into, and other YouTubers have gone into themselves, and not to mention, it's like, if you do this, we'll give you 30 days and we'll shut you down. Now, here's where it gets a little bit problematic, because Wizards of the Coast realizes that folks like Critical Role and Elder Brain are probably making hundreds, if not millions of dollars a year. They decided, you know what, you owe us 25% royalties. But if you crowdforge this, now, from what I gather, Elder Brain kickstarted this book. If you crowdfund on Kickstarter, like what probably Elder Brain did, you get to pay us 20%. And with a lot of creators having little or no profit in regards to what they create, this is taking away their livelihood. That's one problem. The other problem that has been put out and put forth in a good many videos is that Wizards of the Coast has stated, no matter what, you, the creator of what we'll use Dungeon in the Box this time. You, Dungeon in the Box, if we decide to pull your stuff, pull your open gaming license from you, you can't sue us. No matter what, you can't sue us. You can't take us to court. And that's the other thing. Speaking of that, revoking it. And they could also say, hey, if we change this, we'll have to give you 30 days notice. Now, companies like Dungeon in a Box, Elder Brain, amongst many others, and some of which I have backed, and I'm waiting on those books to come in the mail or pay shipping to get them to come to me. That means during a month, no one can pretty much crowdfund, because during that month, Wizards of the Coast saying, guess what? In 30 days, we're revoking or changing the license. Therefore, what they created is null and void. They have to wait. And that's an issue. And even though what's in the current or the elite OGL says that if you make over $750,000 per project, gross, not net, you owe us that 25%, if not 20%. They could lower that any time. They could change that any time. Not to mention, they've also said that in that license, not just you can't sue and you got to pay us royalties, that they could turn and tell Elder Brain, if not Dungeon in a Box or DM Dave, what we find on your stuff, because folks like at Elder Brain or Dungeon Box has to submit all their work to Wizards of the Coast under this new open gaming license. We found your stuff problematic. They have no right to tell Wizards of the Coast what's problematic so they could change it. They can say, hey, it's problematic. We're revoking your license. And also, what makes this coming is that in that same leak, OGL 1.1, Wizards of the Coast has stated in this leak that we can take your book, your even though what Elder Brain and Dungeon in a Box creates is theirs. Wizards of the Coast says, if we want to, it's now ours. We have the right to take your stuff, print it under our name, our banner, slap Wizards of the Coast on it, slap Dungeons and the Dragons on it, give you no credit. We might change up the artwork in it. So what a lot of creators are saying that, again, let's take Dungeon in the Box so we don't pick on Elder Brain a lot. I do have a lot of respect for Elder Brain. Dungeon in the Box. We're going to take away your stuff. We're going to take away your license to produce independent content because we find it problematic. So just so they could turn around and take all their content that they created over the past, I don't know, let's say year, 2 years, 3 years, reprint it in a book similar to this and sell it as their own. Not give Dungeon in a Box credit. They might change the artwork in it. Heck, what's to say that Wizards of the Coast won't start producing their own skinny minis and put them out there as well? Hey, Dungeon in a Box proved it is successful. They made it a whole business model. That's what's problematic. That's what's sad. And is the community up in arms about it? Yes. Yes, it is. And a lot of folks who do their own homebrews are very worried as well because, well, they should be. Because if they stream them and make a whole mess of money or produce it, put their homebrew out there for others to enjoy, whether it be free or even if it's tip worthy or if they sell it professionally, they run the risk of Wizards of the Coast telling them you're canceled. What does it also mean for creators? Well, they can create their own similar stuff to run there, meaning DM Dave, Dungeon in a Box, Elder Brain can revamp their stuff that circumvent the OGL, meaning they can create their own way to play their content under something very similar to Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, they can create their own way to create characters, their own way to run these games without it relying on 5e or Dungeons and Dragons themselves. Or something's going to happen. Bootlegs. Utter and completely bootlegs. They'll go... Things will not happen. I mean, there will be a secondary market in regards to this stuff. And how it will feel, I don't know. I'll probably be searching the secondary market. Or folks will be creating their own content, putting together. They'll go to their own printers and make their own content. They'll go out, they'll buy binders, they'll make their own modules under 5e, or they'll create their own, meaning they'll create their own homebrew, their own characters, their own stuff. Print it out. Go to a local printer. Print all that out. Have it bound. Whether it might not look as professional as what Dungeon in the Box makes, or what this looks like. Not this professional, but it will be low key. And the thing is, this is where the best part comes in. Will they be going to New York Comic Con, Wizard World, Philly, a Wizard World, or San Diego Comic Con, or a Chicago Comic Con, or someplace big like that? No. They'll go to a small Comic Con, like 4-State Comic Con, or a Comic Con, Ocean City Comic Con, a small Comic Con, where Wizards of the Coast doesn't have eyes or ears at. And they'll sell their own 5e compatible stuff. They'll slap a little logo saying, if you play 5e, wink wink, nudge nudge, here you go. Just don't tell WOTC, don't tell Wizards of the Coast that we're selling this, that we're making $5-10 off of it. Will it happen? Yeah. And I support it. Literally. I support folks like Elder Brain. I support Dungeon in the Box. I support DM Dave. I support any independent creator that is fighting this. I will support any fan that fights this and tells Wizards of the Coast they are wrong. Now, many people are coming out and saying that this might be, since Wizards of the Coast is being quiet, and that on their Discord, they in essence have rules similar to Fight Club, meaning Rule 1, you don't talk about the leak. Rule 2, you don't talk about the leak. Therefore, what's going to happen? Once everything settles, the dust settles, and what most of the big creators are saying is that Wizards of the Coast, it just leaked this out, that there's going to be a different draft that is going to be less scummy, less screwed up for everybody. And therefore, well, that's on them. And we're like, wait, it was just a leak. We leaked it out. Oh, we're sorry. Here's something different. They're going to remove some things, yet maybe a year, 2 years down the road, put that stuff back in. Or they're going to wait until 2024, when everything's cooled down, and say, then officially release this 1.1 when everybody has forgot about it. Folks, don't forget about it. If you're a member of the D&D community and you made it this far in this episode of my show, don't let Wizards of the Coast forget about this. Do not let this go away. There is the hashtag opendnd. There is that hashtag. Keep it going. Never let them forget. Keep fighting. That's why we're here. We want you to keep fighting. We support independent creators. Yes, Wizards of the Coast is a corporation, but they shouldn't be able to bully the fan base. Heck, let me put it like this. It worked for Sonic, didn't it? Remember that. Keep it up. Make sure. Hold them accountable. If not, don't pay for them. Don't buy another Wizards of the Coast product. I know some of you will. Some of you will continue to support them. But don't. Please don't. The less you support them, hit them in the wallet. So when somebody like DM Dave or Elder Brain puts out a new way to play their content, support them. It's going to fracture the community, yes. But it's going to help them. It's going to help the mom and pops, the independents like Elderbrain and Dungeon in a Box. Keep the lights on. Help keep families fed and warm, especially when it's the cold season right now. If not, if it continues into the summer, help keep them cool. Help keep them have a roof over their head. That's what we want. That's what we're fighting for. We're fighting for not just the independent creators. We're fighting out after something bigger. So take care. I'm Rev, and I'm out.